The laptop market, and then especially the Ultrabook segment, is a really tricky one. You have Apple on one side with their MacBooks, while on the other side you have Dell with their XPS lineup in the premium segment. And then you also have Lenovo, which is covering the business side of it with their ThinkPad lineup. So the question arises, is there still room and space enough for a competitor? Huawei thinks so, and they released the Huawei MateBook X Pro. So I was curious, how does this perform, and is it really that well balanced in the center of all of the competition? So let's get right into it. A full disclosure before we start this video, this laptop or Ultrabook or MateBook X Pro was sent over by coolblue.nl. If you're curious about the price and all of the specifications, I will leave a link in the video's description. Regarding the build quality, I really like the build quality. It is really well made, and the only concern that I had was that there's just a little bit of flex while pressing on top. Luckily it is not a lot, and also it isn't a fingerprint magnet. There are no sharp edges and the finish is just spot on, but it's clearly modeled after the Apple MacBook Pro models. The panel is made by or produced by 𝙤𝙤𝙗𝙨, and I'm not even sure if I pronounced that correctly because it's a relatively unknown player in the display market. That display though is fantastic. It has a resolution of 3000 by 2000 pixels and it is a very well calibrated, nice and bright display at 500 nits. And it also has a really good contrast ratio, 1500:1. Thanks to the thin bezels, the almost 14-inch display fits in a standard 13.3 housing. Now it is nice that they added the touch feature, but I rarely use it, to be honest. There's also a nice set of features, like you get a fingerprint scanner on the power button, which is at a really nice location. The fingerprint scanner is above the keyboard and it's actually a really nice one, the keyboard I'm talking about then. There's a good amount of travel, it doesn't produce a lot of sound with almost no flex while pressing firmly on it. However, it clearly reminded me of my old MacBook Air 2013 model because it has a nice decent amount of travel compared to the newer Apple MacBook Pro models. Huawei also included two USB Type-C ports with one Thunderbolt support, while the other one on the other side is still the regular Type-A port. Now that port over there is because Huawei ships it with a free dock that includes VGA, HDMI and a Type-C port. And I think that a lot of manufacturers can learn to ship something along with this instead of charging $30, $40, $50 Apple. Along with all the ports and a thickness of just 1.46 centimeters, the Huawei MateBook X Pro still has a 57 watt battery found inside, and that is relatively normal for 13-inch Ultrabooks. Even though it has this nice high pixel density display, the battery doesn't suffer a lot from it because it uses panel self-refresh to spare the battery. While you do some browsing or maybe some light work at medium brightness settings, you can expect a battery life of around 9 hours, but you can cut it by half if you start to do some editing or playing some games. The GeForce MX-150 is an entry level and not made for serious gaming. You will be able to play Minecraft, LOL, etc, but don't expect to play PUBG, Doom and Fortnite on high settings with acceptable frame rates. However, I was able to play Fortnite. You have to keep in mind that it's on 1080p though, with textures low, with low settings in general, with distance near, no shadows, etc. And then you can play the game, let's say. If you want to have a Ultrabook that is more capable of playing games, I will leave a link here in the top right corner to the Lenovo Legion laptop that I reviewed, which is made way more for gaming and still has some sort of an Ultrabook look. The heat is really well managed, both while playing games and editing a video, and mainly happens right above the keyboard. The same counts for noise levels, these are all really well under control. There are always a few points to improve on, and one of them is for sure the speakers. When you put the volume above 60 to 70%, I don't really like how the speakers perform because of the vibrations, and it doesn't positively affect the audio quality. Even though it uses Windows precision drivers, the trackpad isn't always perfect, and the trackpad itself doesn't look to be 100% installed as there are some loose parts and it creates noise therefore. The last thing is more software related. If you double tap with your fingers on the trackpad, it doesn't open the right click menu, and the same counts when you physically press on the trackpad, it doesn't open the right click menu. The other thing is that when you press it with the double fingers, it starts to get like a loading boot loop. As shown in the beginning of the video, the webcam is integrated in a really nice, fancy, but especially privacy-friendly way. I have to say though that I'm not the biggest fan of the angle and the image quality because, first of all, if you're a giant like me, you would just look right into my nose holes, and the image quality could be a little bit better as well. Luckily, just like the touchscreen, I rarely use it. I believe that this Ultrabook or MateBook X Pro is a great device for light to medium use, with the occasional edits for some photos and videos, or for some gaming if you don't mind to play on lower settings, because the higher settings are just not feasible. I think that this device looks great, even though it might remind you of the MacBooks. It has a fantastic display, it has a good battery life to last at least a full working day without the need to charge it for an Ultrabook. It is powerful enough that most users probably will like it and use it for light to medium intense work. And also it is really easy to bring along to work, or on a road trip, or to school. Now the webcam is a cool gimmick that I never use, same as the touchscreen, but it is a really personal preference. You do want to purchase the MateBook X Pro because of its beautiful display, the compact footprint, the weight, and it's just so easy to bring along that in this price segment you get a lot of bang for your buck. If you don't want to have the 1080p screen from Dell, Asus, or if you want to stay with Windows, then for all of this you do sort of pay a premium, especially here in Holland, because the price in the US is roughly $500 cheaper, and at our eastern neighbors you pay approximately €200 less than the price here in Holland. Last but not least, you have to keep in mind that the Huawei MateBook X Pro was released almost a year ago at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, and it's always a question how fast they will release a new successor for these kind of Ultrabooks. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What do you think of the price quality ratio for an Ultrabook like this? Don't forget to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and then I hope to see all of you in the next one.